Hey yo guys, this is gonna be a special unscripted video where I just pretty much am talking about the business. Now today, maybe 10 minutes ago, Off the Record, which is a show in Canada where, the host will talk with the main sports figure, like, for example, Barry Bonds or something, Chad Johnson, and then they'll have a group panel and stuff. Well, today was a special episode. They had Brett the Hitman Art on. He's been on the show many a times, as I have seen on YouTube and through other various websites. And he was talking about his book and stuff. He was talking about how he was pretty much getting interviewed about some of the questions on the book, which, I'm really intrigued in getting this book. Like, they talked about how he admitted in his book that he cheated on his wife and stuff because he was a lonely guy and he needed that compassion and stuff, and yeah. The thing I want to talk about now is wrestling as a whole. By the way, I'm going to go get that book for sure, and Jericho's. But the thing I want to talk to you guys about is the business. Now, one of the topics they touched on in this was, steroids again. I mean, it's another thing. The main issue that I would say come up is the fact that the business got elevated in the 80s when children were cartoons and wrestling, and the main thing, similarities there with both guys were steroided, or not steroid, I mean, but they were huge and abnormal. Like, wrestling, then it got abolished in 94 when, the government got in there, the U.S. government got in there and they got rid of the steroids, and then, apparently, according to Brett, as soon as after the screw job, they got rid of the steroid thing, and then everyone started taking steroids. But, I think the will definitely need to do something like that we gotta figure out how to do that. Or we need we need an off season, and we need to maybe do what Japan does, where they'll run shows for 2 weeks and they'll be off for 3 weeks. They'll take some rest period, and then it just makes the guys feel so good because they get that break, they get that time to recuperate from your bump where you're like your serious match or your whatnot. Where, in the WWE, in the North American wrestling world, you're on the road a lot. Or maybe do what Ring of Honor does. They'll do a couple shows back to back, and then they'll take a month off. Like, Ring of Honor in August, they ran shows from the 10th, the 11th, and 24th, and that was August for them. That was all they did. They're 3 great shows, and I have them right there. Which were Death Before Dishonor 5, both nights, and Cage Rage. But maybe we need to do that. Maybe we need to take that aspect, take that 3 weeks off and then come back and do it. Because wrestling is just, the guys are getting beat up. In the WWE, I've said this before, the only time these guys are getting off for 2 reasons. 1, they're getting suspended for using steroids or any other violation. And 2, they're only getting off because of their injury. Like, Undertaker could only get time off. He was like, Vince, my back is killing me. I'd just like to drop this belt now. Like, no, how about we keep doing this thing where you beat Batista over and over again? I mean, they put on good matches, but still, they're suffering because of our enjoyment. And then the other thing they touched on was MMA. Pretty much MMA and, like, could wrestling ever get a comeback? I do believe wrestling needs a comeback, but we gotta keep going over this thing. Less talking, more wrestling. I know the point driven home a lot of times. More wrestling, less talking. Vignettes we can still do. We can do some promo time. But like in Raw and hell even TNA now, we're having the guys talk for the first 10 minutes or 16 minutes or whatever, and you're boring the fans. The fans will change the channel. What I wanted to see, like maybe Impact should do what they used to do. The very first Impact, the first thing you saw was Intro and then Styles versus Roderick Strong. Granted, Styles squashed Strong, but maybe we need to do that. We need to have that. Also, you know what the #1 wrestling organization is in the world today? Pretty much it's MMA and UFC. Because they're doing the same formula that the wrestling business did back in the 80s. All they did was they'd have the fans be able to identify with people. The fans right now, we can't really identify with guys, okay? I mean, look at the main players in the world. Kurt Angle, who is a phenomenal athlete who we cannot get in touch with. No one will ever win a gold medal unless, you're in that field and watching this, and I seriously doubt that. Or Sting, a cartoon character and stuff. And then you go to the WWE, the top guy is Randy Orton. Well, you can kind of identify with him, but you don't want to be that guy. I mean, come on, MMA, you have Rampage Jack from the South who's been struggling his whole life, finally getting that chance. That's what people are identifying with. Ken Shamrock is the original guy. He did the same story, just a rough childhood, brought it up, and now he's succeeding. That's what they need to do. We need to have those characters where we can identify. Hogan, great guy you can identify with. America's in the slumps. He's your hero. He's bringing you back. Do that. I mean, come on. That's what we need to do. We have to have these characters we can identify with. I mean, MMA, they just stole our concept and do that. We need to redo that, think how we're going to branch off our business. Like WWE and stuff, I mean, they've lost their philosophy that got them to the dance. I mean, it's an obvious point, and I feel like I hate having to reiterate that, but come on. That's what they're doing, the same thing. Like, they're not doing the same thing. They're doing Hollywood stuff, which we don't care for. If we wanted to, we would go buy an action movie. We'd go see Die Hard. We'd go see Scarface. We'd go see The Godfather. We'd go see American Gangster, which I will see. But anyways, that's what we need to do. We need to do stuff like that, guys. Come on. Think about it, Vince. I mean, Brett brought up the point, like, you know, MMA is getting to the point now where he thinks maybe some guy could die, and that will be wrestling's chance. Someone will die, and then the fans of MMA may have to say, like, we gotta relook our product and stuff, and then switch to wrestling, and then we gotta be there, guys. And then the other point that Scott D'Amore was on the show, and I never realized how much of a genius Scott D'Amore is. He said one of the most important things ever. Like, you know how the WWE has their steroid wellness policy and stuff? Well, the guys in the mainstream, in TNA and WWE, they don't have health insurance. Whereas the guys in Ring of Honor, they do have health insurance, and they run incredible shows. And like Ring of Honor is the company that is focused on the wrestling, and they'll do some talk time in between. I mean, granted, I mean, they sometimes will do, I don't know what I was going to say there, but they're thinking of the right stuff there. They've got, Ring of Honor is like the company, and I hate to do this, it's also any other indie. They will talk, like, to set up a feud, like the chemistry and, okay, I forgot to reiterate, but the chemistry in, like, TNA that made you love it. Like, at this era of TNA, the chemistry was, I hate you, I want your belt. Like, Jeff Jarrett would get in these feuds with Raven, with Styles, and all it was for the belt. Now it's like, well, you slept with my wife. We don't want to see that. Come on. Damn it. Anyway, guys, I think I've just rambled on too much about that. But, yeah, that was one of mind-influencing things I've had in a while on making vids. Yeah. I'm definitely picking up Bret Hart's book because Bret will tell the truth. I mean, that's one thing we gotta like about Bret. He'll tell the truth on what happened. And Jericho's book is apparently a funny-ass book. And yeah, I got tons of DVDs to review. I mean, come on. I got the show I wanted of the Guns versus Lion and Ultimo. So yeah. Anyway, guys, I'm out for now. Peace.